bit of good news for you. Stocks surging for a second day, closing out the day up 284 points. So what happened to all those Brexit fears? All the doom and gloom that we heard? Maybe Nigel Farage was right when he told me this. Watch.
This hysteria about markets, let's end that. It's rubbish. Now,
before we end it, because I was talking to some people today who said, you know what? London is no longer going to be a financial center for Europe. Your response? Oh,
please. Please, please, please. London is not a financial center for Europe. It's a financial center for the world.
In other words, he said those bankers, they're not going to want to live in Frankfurt, and, you know, the Parisians, they don't really work. So, hey, no choice but London. European Parliament member Daniel Hannan is live with me now with his thoughts on all this. Good to see you, Daniel. You know, people are still worried over there. In fact, there's a contingency that actually wants to reverse this whole thing. Do you think they're going to have any luck?
It's amazing, isn't it? There is already, with less than a week since the vote, an attempt to try and reverse the verdict. More people voted to leave the European Union than have ever voted for anything in the whole of British history ever, and yet the politicians, the mega banks, the big corporations and the old corporates and vested interests are trying to stop it. If you want to understand why people were so angry in the first place, there's your answer.
You know, you look at what's unfolded so tragically in Turkey. 41 people dead, more than 230 people injured. And as Nigel Farage pointed out in that interview, a lot of what we saw in terms of folks in England feeling like they didn't want to work with the EU anymore was triggered by immigration concerns. Do you feel as though this
that's actually not really that's not what the polls indicated. The top concern by quite a long way was democracy. It was taking back the power to make our own laws and to hire and fire the people who passed them. Immigration was a distant second, and even the people citing immigration generally don't want zero immigration. They just want control of immigration, so that we determine who can come in and in what numbers.
You know, to be fair to him, it was one of the points that he was making. I think there are obviously a lot of economic concerns too, but when it comes to immigration, this need to protect and secure your own border. It's something that we share in common with you guys right now, because there's a lot of concerns about who we're bringing here. You've heard all the talk of the wall with Mexico, but also Hillary Clinton has proposed bringing 65,000 Syrian refugees into this country, which obviously is nothing near what Angela Merkel has taken in. But given all the terrorism concerns that Europe is now confronting, is this, do you think, really the decision that's right for the country, because you need to be able to secure these borders?
Look, it's really important to understand what we just voted for. Taking back the right to legislate for ourselves does not mean that we're walking away from our allies in Europe. We will remain interested and engaged with the affairs of every continent, including Europe. We took the decision during the referendum campaign to deploy naval forces to the Mediterranean to assist with the refugee crisis there. We took a decision to deploy military personnel to defend Poland. We're not walking away from countries which will be our friends and allies in any scenario. What we voted for is a freer Britain, a more global Britain. Right, and also we want more free trade. You know, I'll make a prediction. You had the clip there of the President being invited to repeat his back of the queue remarks. Yes. I will happily predict on this programme that there will be a US-UK free trade agreement in place long before there is a EU-US free trade agreement, if ever that happens. Because the UK is a free trading country by instinct.
We can negotiate. It's easier one-on-one than with all those different countries. Hey, let me play for you and for the viewer some of the sound of the President just moments ago. I'd like your reaction, Daniel. Here we go.
It's not my job to comment on candidates in the middle of a race, just because they may end up winning. And the relationship between governments tend to transcend whoever is in power at any given time. No doubt that when I visit countries, there are times where I've got preferences, but I rarely express them.
Okay. So when he goes and visits foreign countries, he may feel one way, but he very rarely expresses those feelings. That's not quite what you saw.
No, he did intervene very directly in our system, and I have to say he had the opposite effect from the one he intended. There were 4 opinion polls taken the week after Mr. Obama told us to vote Remain, and all of them showed a sharp swing to leave. And I have to now say, you know, I don't know whether he was a secret agent on our side all along, but he may, given the narrowness of the result, have been the reason that we're now a sovereign and independent country again. Do you know what? I can't help noticing that you guys voted leave a while ago. It seems to have worked out okay for you.
Yeah, it's worked out pretty darn well. Well, good luck to you, Daniel.
Thank you.